What's going on, Godzirra Nation? This is Arghgodzirra. We are back with another installment of Arghgodzirra'S footy tipping competition. And this week, we are looking ahead to round 21 action. Thank you for joining me as always. It's hard to believe there is only 3 weeks left of the home and away season. It has gone very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Where has the time gone? This time has been definitely well spent between everybody doing this, everybody supporting this. And I thank you all for that support. But, as always, before we start, description down below, updated tally of where everybody sits heading into round 1. Thank you, Godzirra. You are most welcome, ladies and gentlemen. But that's the week that was. It's time to talk about the week that will be. Kicking off on Friday night, Giants taking on Hawthorn at UNSW Canberra Stadium. At any other point in the season, I would have turned around and told you I feel this would be a 50-50 game. However, given where both teams are sitting at the moment, how they've been running the last few weeks, I can't back against GWS here. They are still hoping for a top 4 finish. Anything can happen. We saw last week, anything can well and truly happen. They can still potentially finish in the top 4. However, I think 5th is where they're going to finish. I think they've pretty much locked in that spot. They're going to win against Hawthorn. They're going to continue to build momentum. And I feel if they start getting some players back from injury, they could be a big threat. However, those players that are missing could potentially be the downfall to them heading into the final. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword for GWS. However, I'm backing the Giants to kick off action for round 21 Friday night. Saturday afternoon kicks off at the MCG with Melbourne taking on Collingwood. Collingwood are hopeful to get Daniel Wells back this week. That'd be huge. I feel this weekend, however, Melbourne could upset Collingwood. I said could, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't say would, because I'm still backing Collingwood to get the job done here. Even with all their injuries, I feel they are still playing vastly superior football compared to Melbourne. And if Melbourne play the way they did against Richmond, they're going to open up the ability for Collingwood to just run all over the top of them. Collingwood for me quite comfortably Saturday afternoon. We then shift down to Adelaide, where Port Adelaide are taking on Sydney. Port Adelaide clinging on to the hopes of making the top 8. I still feel they have a very genuine chance to make it in. Very genuine chance. I'm backing them to win quite comfortably in Adelaide. I still feel they could potentially finish higher than Adelaide this year on the ladder as well. It's definitely going to be a battle of the 2 South Australian teams to see which one takes out 8th spot. I really think it is. But Port Adelaide for me are going to get another win, and they're going to continue their run to the finals Saturday. We then go up to the Gabba, where the 2 Queensland teams, the Q clash is going down. Brisbane taking on the Gold Coast. And let's just quickly make the Gold Coast disappear and put the Brisbane Lions logo up on the screen, because they're going to win quite comfortably here. They're going to get a huge percentage boost. I feel this is going to be a game where they could get out by 90 odd points like we've seen earlier this season with Adelaide and Richmond against Gold Coast. They're going to do it quite comfortably. They've had a surprising season. They've strung a lot of wins together, and they're going to be very dangerous heading into the finals, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually backing them to potentially go all the way to the grand final this year. Big call, but you can't deny their best this year has been up there with the best of any team. 100%. The Brisbane for me, lock it in. Big win against the Gold Coast on Saturday. Down at Marvel, Essendon taking on the Western Bulldogs. Essendon at the moment have players dropping like flies, left, right and centre. Couple this week have been announced not being able to play. I think Matt Guelfi's done for the season. Adam Sard is going to be missing for a couple of weeks. This is where I'm making my contentious decision for the weekend. Western Bulldogs are going to defeat Essendon and keep their finals chances alive. I still feel the Bulldogs are a big chance to make it. A lot of people have already written the Bulldogs off. I still think they can get there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm backing the Bulldogs to beat Essendon. Not only will that force Essendon to potentially start looking at dropping out of the 8, but that keeps Western Bulldogs' chances alive. We've got to make some Got to make some calls like this sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. I just feel with all the players leaving Essendon through injury, Bulldogs can really take advantage of that, especially through the midfield. So Bulldogs for me, down at Marvel. And Saturday rounds out at GMHBA UZYQ Stadium. No, it's down in Geelong, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Geelong taking on North Melbourne. I'm going to back Geelong quite comfortably. Surprising loss against Fremantle last week. I was actually quite surprised. I did say in last week's video, even though I tipped Geelong to beat Fremantle, I would love to see Fremantle get up and win because it shakes up the ladder and it gives Richmond a chance to push further up. I called it. I should have backed it. I didn't. However, someone disagrees with me this week, ladies and gentlemen. They're ready to swing it. It is now time for a segment we like to call the Touch of Death. They are still yet to have chosen a winning side with their selections. As I pointed out last week, though, I've got a sneaky suspicion they're not always choosing teams to get a winning marker for that weekend. They really just want to highlight some teams that they feel could cause upsets. I think that's all they're wanting to do. They don't necessarily care if they get it right or not. And this weekend, they've come out with a huge call. They're backing North Melbourne to defeat Geelong at GMHBA Stadium. We saw GWS get it done earlier this season. The Reaper believes North Melbourne is going to be the next team to do so. Huge call. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think he is on the marker for that one. But that rounds out our tips for Saturday. Heading over to Sunday, 3 games of football. We are back at Marvel Stadium, and it is St Kilda taking on Fremantle. This uniquely keeps Docker's finals chances mathematically alive if they can win as well. Very hard to believe that there are a handful of teams still vying for a spot with 3 rounds to go. It is impressive this season. St Kilda go into the game as heavy favourites. Fremantle, however, could come down and cause an upset. This, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I would have never thought at this point of the season a St Kilda versus Fremantle game, in my mind, would be a 50-50 ball game. But at the end of the day, we have to choose a team to win. And I'm going to choose Fremantle. I don't know how I sit with that decision. St Kilda have been playing some decent football. They really have been. But I feel the momentum Fremantle picked up by knocking off Geelong, they're going to come down this week and they're going to do some damage. I just feel it. I really do. Yep, lock it in. Fremantle to kick off the action on Sunday. I hope I don't regret that decision. My next choice, however, no regret at all. Richmond taking on Carlton at the MCG, and I'm backing my boys to continue their very impressive run that they have strung together. It has been impressive since the bye round to see Richmond playing the football they have. It really has. Alex Rance officially came out and said he's not going to come back this season. I'm pretty sure we all knew that. I didn't want him to come back this season. I've already said a few times, I'd rather Richmond make the finals and lose with no Rance than have Rance come back, win a final, but then him do further damage because he's come back earlier than he should have. However, I think Richmond should win this game quite comfortably. However, Carlton the last few weeks, I feel they're going to be a lot more competitive than they were round 1. And that's a huge turnaround for them in my eyes. However, Richmond, if they want to further their chances up that ladder, they need to make this a big win. They just need to boost that percentage because at the end of the day, a lot of percentage is going to come into play with this top 8. Even the top 4 with how we're shaping at the moment. But Richmond for me at the MCG, Sunday afternoon. And round 21 rounds out with 2 birds going head-to-head at Optus Stadium. We've got West Coast taking on Adelaide. Adelaide should just stay in South Australia and not bother here because the West Coast, they're just going to get the job done really comfortably and make sure Adelaide's chances of playing in the finals this year just teeter back and forth a little bit on that seesaw. I really dislike Adelaide. I really dislike them. And they're one of those teams at the moment that are thereabouts to fall out. And I hope they do. Secretly. I really hope they do. But that rounds out my tips for round 21, ladies and gentlemen. Going over who I'm going to tip. We're going with GWS, Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs, Geelong, Fremantle, Richmond, and West Coast. Be sure to get your tips in the comment section down below like you have been, ladies and gentlemen. Things are really starting to heat up, as you can see with the leaderboard down below. I'm very curious to see how the next 3 weeks play out. Really do. Starting to kind of work out as well what I'm going to do with prizes and all that kind of stuff. So I'll make sure you guys are updated. And I'm curious to know as well, do you guys want to do like a finals little tipping mini competition just for funsies? I might throw in a prize for that one as well if we can get people going all the way. But we might do that as a knockout where if you tip a team and you get it incorrect, you're eliminated from that competition. Just maybe a little bit of fun. I don't know. I'll leave it in your hands. But thank you for joining me for another video, ladies and gentlemen. Hugely appreciate you stopping by. If you have been enjoying this, go ahead and leave a like on the video. It goes a long way to supporting myself, and I seriously cannot thank you guys enough for all that support. If you're new to the channel, plenty of other content to check out. I urge you to do so. And if you enjoy what I'm throwing down, and you haven't done so already, pledge your allegiance to the Godzirra Nation by hitting subscribe. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.